Hiya too, and welcome back to our second reading lesson of 2021. Remember that our book is called A Boy and a Bear in a Boat, and our learning objective this week of making predictions based around what we could see on our front cover yesterday. Today we're going to carry on thinking about predictions based on what we've read or what's happened in our book so far. So, take a moment to think about the story so far. What's happened? Who are our characters? What were the main events of chapters 1 and 2? Pause the video here and have a really good think. So did you remember everything? Well, just to quickly recap, we begin our story with a boy getting into a boat with a bear. The bear is leading the way and the boy wants to get across the water. After a little while, the boy fell fast asleep. But when he woke up, it was the next day and there was water still as far as the eye could see. We're going to read together the last couple of paragraphs of chapter 2. See if you can read with me. Sometimes I'm going to leave a word out and I want you to see if you can fill in that word just like we do in the classroom. Are you ready? Let's go. Is everything all right? Said the boy. The bear shook off a slight frown and turned a smile in the boy's direction. Oh yes, he said. Absolutely tickety-boo. The boy assumed that tickety-boo was a thing. Just need to keep an eye on where we are. Don't want to run into any sea monsters, do we? Said the boy was a bit alarmed until he realised that the bear was. At least he was fairly sure he was joking, though he chose not to ask. Are we nearly there yet? The boy. We're well on our way, said the bear. The boy shivered and picked up his. By the way, said the bear, did happen to bring any food with you? Were you able to read all those missing words? I hope so. Well done if you were. Before we carry on reading, there's a few questions I'd like us to answer before we move on, to check that we know where we're up to with our story, that we've understood what we've read, and continue to think about the idea of prediction based on what we've read. So, your turn. Question 1. What did the bear say he didn't want to meet? Pause the video here and then come back for a check. Look back to the text if you need to find the answer. Did you remember? It was sea monsters. Right, another your turn. Next question. Which word tells us that the boy is cold? And back for a check. It was the word shivered. And question number 3. Based on what we've just read, what is the bear likely to do next? Again, pause here and have a really good think using those inference skills. What do you predict will happen? Okay, so this is where we might have had a few different ideas, but remember that it has to be based on what you've read. So we know from the book that the boy and the bear haven't finished their journey, so you may simply say that the bear will carry on rowing his boat. But also, we can infer that he's hungry, being as he's asking the boy about food. So you might predict that he's about to have something to eat, or that he's doing something to get something to eat, like they might need to stop the boat and go fishing. Well done if you had a go at answering those questions. As we carry on reading, there are going to be some points today where we stop and ask a question. I'd love you to have a go and then come back for a check. Right, let's carry on reading and see what happens next. The boy hadn't been hungry before the bear had mentioned food, but now he was ravenous. He freed his bag from beneath his seat and set about the food that he brought with him. He ate both his sandwiches, cheese and pickle, one of each. 1 bag of crisps, a banana and 3 of his favourite fizzy blackcurrant sweets that had turned his tongue purple. And he drank a bottle of ginger beer. The bear ate too. He took out a large, scratched and dented metal lunchbox from under his seat and extracted from it one small triangular sandwich with the crusts cut off, and ate it with great delicacy in many nibbled bites, savouring each one. A strange smell wafted over to the boy. "What was in that?" he said. "Broccoli, sherbet and gooseberry," said the bear. "Delicious." "That's a good big lunchbox you've got," said the boy. "Oh, yes," said the bear, contemplating its contents once again. "I'm not really a big eater, but I like to bring along plenty of sandwiches, just in case." "Just in case? In case of what?" "Oh, you know," said the bear, daintily selecting another sandwich. "Emergencies." "And," said the boy, as casually as he could, "do you have a lot of emergencies?" Time for another question. Think about what you know about the bear so far. What do you think he means by emergencies? Pause again, have a good think about it, and make that prediction. What do you think he might be talking about? I hope you stretch those brains having a really good think about what he might be talking about. Well, again, we might have a few different ideas here, but thinking about the text and what we know so far, I would imagine that it might be something to do with perhaps losing his telescope or losing a map or just getting completely lost. Although it could, of course, have something to do with meeting sea monsters. "Oh, you know, a few," said the bear brightly. "They keep life interesting, don't they? Emergencies." He took a small bite from the sandwich. Anchovy, banana and custard. Yum. When he'd finished, he put the lunchbox away and set back to rowing, away from the nothing at all that lay behind them and on towards another lot of nothing at all ahead of them. Splish, splish, splish. It wasn't that the boy was worried exactly. He was sure that the bear knew what he was doing. Well, fairly sure anyway. He would have just been happier if he could have seen land, or another boat, or anything, really, that wasn't sea or sky. There weren't even any aeroplanes or birds or clouds to look at, which was a bit odd and a bit boring. Idly, the boy dunked his empty pop bottle into the sea and brought it up full of seawater. He turned it over, watching the thin torrent of falling water, catching the light and listening to the glugs and splashes that it made. Then he did it again. Twice was enough, it turned out. It wasn't that interesting. He sighed and contemplated the bar of chocolate in his bag. He loved chocolate, but, on balance, decided not to have any just now. He would save it for later, in case of emergencies. The bear was singing to himself as he rowed now, in a sweet, high, quavering voice. It reminded the boy of his gran singing hymns in the kitchen while she did the washing up. The bear sang so softly that the boy could make out neither the words nor the tune, but it was clearly quite jolly, whatever it was, and that was rather reassuring. The bear certainly seemed to enjoy his work, grinning as he sang as he rowed. The boy decided not to disturb him with any of the questions he would like to ask. Instead, he took a look around. That didn't take long. Outside the boat was the same view in every direction. Inside the boat there wasn't much space for very much that might be interesting to look at. The bear kept the bottom of the boat absolutely clear. He had even been careful to gather up his sandwich crumbs and put them in an old treacle tin that he used as a bin. And anything that might be worth looking at was stored under the seats in a jumble of shadows. It was a mess, and rather a boring one, just old tins and packets and boaty things, and no toys at all, apart from, curiously, a small yellow plastic duck. The boy stood up, rather unsteadily, and stretched his limbs. He would have liked to walk, but had to settle for shuffling around on a tiny wobbly circle in the cramped space between the rear and middle seats. He shuffled and scuffed and wobbled, and then, frustrated and bored, sat back down and sighed quietly. Then, when the bear failed to notice, he sighed loudly. The bear looked up. "Are you bored?" said the bear. He seemed rather puzzled by the idea. Time for another question. The bear is puzzled that the boy is bored. He's about to give us his reason why. What reason do you think he'll give? Why do you think he's puzzled that the boy is bored? Have a think. Then check your answer against the text as we carry on reading. "Well, yes, a bit," said the boy. "Bored?" said the bear. "How can you be bored? I don't understand it. Out on the sea on a beautiful day, in the best little dinghy in all the world. What could be better?" "Arriving," said the boy, but the bear took no notice. "Bored, eh? Well, I suppose you'd better try the complimentary on-board entertainment then," said the bear. "On-board entertainment?" said the boy, smiling expectantly. "Oh, yes," said the bear. "You'll love this." Well, I hope you're enjoying our story so far and making predictions. And now it's time for the final Your Turn of the Day. Your final challenge is to draw or describe the scene to show what happens next. How are the boy and the bear feeling? How could you show that? What can they see around them? What do you think the entertainment is? And will the boy really be impressed by it? Don't forget to send your drawings and ideas to our Year 2 email address. We can't wait to see what you come up with. Look out for our next writing video as well, where we'll celebrate some of the ideas that you did send in. The email address is on the screen to remind you. As a final challenge of the day, if you've enjoyed making predictions and you'd like to have a look at some more, you might want to head over to Once Upon a Picture to their prediction shed. There are lots of pictures to have a look at and some questions to answer. Hope you have fun.